Iraqi Dinar Hub, Operational Update Preparation Guide. The shift in operational visibility. This essential update for December 25, 2025, centers on a significant development reported by observers across the country. Financial institutions are increasingly displaying updated values for the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong on internal bank screens. When a financial institution's internal monitors, teller workstations, or ATM management consoles begin to reflect these new figures, it serves as a functional indicator that banks have integrated new exchange parameters into their core processing software. For the individual holder, seeing these values provides a working baseline that transforms the experience from theoretical speculation into active preparation, signaling that the bank's internal logic is aligning with new processing guidelines. While these displays are operational signals rather than an absolute guarantee of immediate settlement for every transaction, they act as a catalyst for individuals to adopt a highly organized stance. This transparency reduces the ambiguity surrounding foreign currency markets, offering a clearer view of the institutional stance and allowing holders to coordinate their efforts effectively to meet bank requirements. Physical organization and inventory protocols. Preparation is widely considered the most vital component of a successful currency verification experience, and the first step must be the rigorous physical organization of your holdings. This involves separating notes by specific denominations and arranging them into neat, manageable bundles that are easy for a processing machine to count, while simultaneously inspecting each note for tears, stains, or unusual markings that could trigger scrutiny. In addition to physical sorting, creating a comprehensive inventory is a best practice that saves significant time. This should be a spreadsheet or clear list detailing serial numbers, denominations, and total counts to provide the bank with a summary for cross-referencing. If you possess a large volume of notes, breaking them down into serial number ranges can streamline the task for the bank's specialist equipment. This methodical approach to inventory management minimizes the likelihood of discrepancies, ensures your records match the bank's assessment, and demonstrates a level of professionalism that facilitates a smoother verification process for all parties involved. Documentation, compliance, and chain of custody. The role of documentation has never been more critical, as banks are legally obligated to adhere to strict compliance checks and anti-money laundering regulations regarding foreign currency. Holders must gather all original purchase receipts, bank transfer confirmations, and exchange slips to establish a clear paper trail. If the currency was a gift or inheritance, a notarized affidavit regarding the chain of custody may be required. This scrutiny is particularly intense for high-denomination notes, such as the 25,000 or 50,000 Iraqi dinar bills, where banks will look for a seamless link between the physical notes and the paperwork provided. While photocopies serve as personal backups, institutions will almost always insist on viewing original documents to verify authenticity. Being prepared for a deep dive into your financial history is standard procedure, so keeping these documents in a secure, organized folder ensures you are ready to satisfy institutional requirements and prove that funds originate from a legitimate source. Appointment logistics and technical verification. Scheduling an appointment is a necessity during this period, as most institutions cannot accommodate walk-in requests for complex exchanges during times of high public interest. You must proactively contact your bank's foreign currency desk or cash operations unit to confirm specific procedures, required identification, and preferred note organization before arriving. The verification stage is the most technical part of the process, involving specialists using advanced tools to inspect security features like watermarks, metallic threads, and color-shifting inks while cross-referencing serial numbers against internal databases. This process cannot be rushed, and holders must remain patient and available to answer questions while the bank completes its due diligence. If notes require escalation to a central processing hub for further authentication, maintaining a professional rapport is essential. Understanding that this is a rigorous validation process helps manage expectations and moves the transaction toward completion efficiently. Security measures and risk management. Safety must remain at the forefront of your plans when preparing to transport significant amounts of foreign currency to a financial institution. It is strictly advised to travel during daylight hours, use a secure and discreet container such as a locked briefcase, and avoid discussing your plans or appointment specifics on social media to prevent attracting unwanted attention. Upon arrival at the bank, you must remain focused, never leaving your currency or documentation unattended, and relying on your own vigilance as the first line of defense despite the bank's security protocols. Furthermore, Holders must be hyper-aware of fraud. Scammers often exploit market activity by offering guaranteed fast-track exchanges or private processing for upfront fees. Legitimate exchanges only occur through licensed financial institutions, so you must strictly avoid private addresses or unverified third parties. Protecting your assets means adhering to established, legally compliant channels and ignoring offers that sound too good to be true. Settlement, taxation, and record keeping. Once verification is successfully completed, the focus shifts to the mechanics of the exchange, where banks may offer credits to accounts, wire transfers, or certified drafts depending on their internal policies. Large-scale conversions often trigger regulatory reporting, such as currency transaction reports, CTR, and may have tax implications regarding capital gains, making it essential to consult with a tax professional beforehand. Proper record keeping is the final, enduring step. You must ensure you leave with a comprehensive, itemized receipt signed by an official that lists dates, denominations, exchange rates, and the final amount credited. Active follow-up may be required to ensure funds clear your account, particularly if the transaction undergoes a temporary compliance hold. By securing digital backups of your receipts and maintaining open communication with bank compliance departments, you ensure a legal financial trail that protects your long-term interests and resolves any future discrepancies. Current analysis and market overview. Today, we are diving into a crucial report that is currently making waves across the financial sector, stemming from the trusted intelligence source known as MNT GOAT. This latest update indicates that the government of Iraq has arrived at a critical turning point in its broader economic roadmap, potentially marking the end of a transformative journey that has stretched across multiple years and various political administrations. The core subject of this dispatch is the confirmed finalization of the sweeping economic reforms that have historically been identified as the main barrier stopping the Iraqi Dinar from re-entering the global financial stage. As these long-awaited reforms reach their conclusion, the consequences for the country's fiscal health are massive, attracting deep attention from observers who have been tracking the modernization of Baghdad's banking systems and their eventual reintegration into the world market. For years, analysts have monitored the creation and execution of the strategic plan referred to as the White Paper. This comprehensive document was initially designed and written between 2019 and 2020, serving as the fundamental architecture for a total restructuring of Iraq's economy. Yet, despite its early inception, most experts agree that the project did not achieve genuine momentum until the administration of Prime Minister al-Sudani assumed power in early 2023. Under his current governance, there has been a tangible acceleration in enforcement, with the central government and the Central Bank of Iraq operating in strict coordination to guarantee that every objective outlined in the White Paper is achieved. The primary aim of this complex endeavor has always been to bring stability to the local economy while positioning the national currency for a dominant role on the international forex market, where its true value can be dictated by global supply and demand. Meeting the technical prerequisites. The growing anticipation surrounding these events is largely due to the fact that the current timeline is finally aligning with the strict technical requirements frequently highlighted by currency experts. These specialists have consistently argued that for any legitimate revaluation or alteration in currency status to take place, specific mandatory preconditions had to be thoroughly completed and authenticated. These were never merely optional guidelines for the Iraqi leadership, rather, they were non-negotiable benchmarks that required completion to guarantee the longevity of any future monetary adjustments. Throughout the last few months, we have witnessed these critical milestones being checked off the list in real-time sequence. This includes major leaps forward in the digitalization of the Iraqi banking infrastructure, a move designed to introduce international standards of transparency to all financial exchanges. Additionally, the enforcement of rigorous protocols to stop currency smuggling has been a vital element of this reform strategy, operating alongside initiatives to secure non-oil revenue sources and decrease the nation's historic dependence on crude energy exports. Based on the most recent assessment from MNT GOAT, the finalization of these specific goals renders the transition to the international forex market a rational and arguably unavoidable next step. This viewpoint implies that we are no longer discussing hypothetical targets, but are instead witnessing the natural culmination of a formal economic strategy that the Iraqi authorities have rigorously executed. The mood in Baghdad is reportedly evolving, as the narrative from the central bank shifts away from internal stabilization and focuses heavily on international connectivity. This pivot indicates that the domestic chapter of this financial operation is effectively complete, suggesting that a broader global phase of engagement is imminent. This evolution signifies a drastic change in how Iraq engages with the global economy, transitioning from a sanctioned, isolated financial ecosystem toward one that is seamlessly connected with the international community and its major trading hubs. The diplomatic signal. The next phase, one of the most intriguing details currently being analyzed, revolves around the expected arrival of a high-ranking United States official, identified in reports as Savior. This official is reportedly slated to visit Baghdad to enter into high-level negotiations concerning the future trajectory of diplomatic and economic relations between Washington, D.C., and Iraq. What has seized the focus of many financial analysts is the particular terminology being employed by Iraqi media outlets and government spokespeople when characterizing this forthcoming visit. Since roughly the middle of November, there has been a deliberate and repetitive usage of the specific phrase "the next phase." In the precise world of international finance and formal diplomacy, such vocabulary usually bears substantial meaning and is rarely utilized without a specific purpose. For those who have been scrutinizing the Iraqi landscape, this expression is interpreted as a clear beacon that the country is departing from its era of restrictions and entering a fresh age of international commerce. The idea of the next phase is viewed by most as far more than empty diplomatic rhetoric. It is understood as the definitive point where Iraq graduates from a restricted, provisional economy into a fully active participant in the global financial network. The scheduling of this high-profile visit from the U.S. delegation seems to be inherently tied to this transition window, implying that the United States is coming to the table to sign off on the mechanics of how a globalized Iraq will operate. This encompasses how the nation will interface with world markets once its currency is openly tradable on international tickers. While there is still a degree of uncertainty concerning the precise days and agenda of these sessions, the unwavering use of this forward-focused language acts as a major clue for those tracking the elevation of the dinar's international standing as they scan for indicators of progress in the sphere of major monetary shifts. Strategic ambiguity and timing. It is standard procedure to face a certain level of strategic ambiguity, or what is often termed smoke and mirrors, in these scenarios. This tactic is frequently employed by central banks and sovereign governments to avert market instability or to prevent private actors from exploiting pending financial adjustments. It is almost certain that the exact particulars regarding the landing of the U.S. delegation are being withheld for reasons of national security and economic preservation. However, despite this absence of a public itinerary, there are distinct signals available for those who examine the landscape with care. At present, the intelligence at hand indicates that a pivotal window of opportunity is likely to open shortly following the Christmas holiday season. The recurrent allusion to the next phase serves as a symbolic green light, demonstrating that the foundational construction is finished and the powers that be are now advancing toward the final execution of their long-standing economic goals. When Iraqi officials discuss the nation attaining international status, they are effectively notifying the public and world markets that the age of currency suppression is coming to an end. MNT Goet's analysis highlights that if an observer wishes to predict when the exchange rate might undergo a major adjustment, they must align the calendar with this high-level diplomatic mission. The prevailing expectation is that any substantial rate modifications or policy transitions will transpire in very close proximity to the arrival of the U.S. official in Iraq. This specific event would broadcast to the global community that the next phase is no longer a distant ambition but a current operational reality. The convergence of reform and reality. The immense volume of logistical and administrative effort that has been undertaken behind closed doors to arrive at this juncture cannot be overemphasized, as it has demanded extraordinary coordination among diverse sectors of the Iraqi government. The administration led by Prime Minister al-Sudani has faced considerable pressure to make good on the pledges made concerning economic revitalization and reform. The reality that the projects detailed in the white paper are now being characterized as complete by multiple independent sources is a testament to the focus and resolve of the current leadership regime. We have progressed beyond the preliminary steps of theoretical strategy and have crossed into the active stage of implementation. For individuals holding Iraqi currency, the reason this transition is vital is that a currency typically cannot sustain a programmed or artificial valuation once it is released into the open international market and the supporting reforms are locked in. The forex market is the arena where the genuine market price of a currency is discovered through supply, demand, and national economic health, rather than through administrative pegs or limited auction mechanisms. The intersection of these two colossal events are the conclusion of internal economic restructuring, and the high-level delegation from Washington is being interpreted as a massive signal that the extended period of anticipation may be drawing to a close. Many believe that the fragments of this complicated economic puzzle are finally being fitted together to reveal a coherent image. That image depicts a fully sovereign and economically autonomous Iraq that controls a currency reflective of its vast natural resources and national wealth. the meaning behind the silence. Looking past the technicalities, we must also account for the strategic silence that frequently foreshadows a major evaluation or financial pivot. While the media may circulate buzzwords such as the next phase, they often refrain from offering a simplified explanation to the general population to ensure the transformation is handled calmly and without needless volatility. For those within the investment community who have dedicated years to analyzing the maneuvers of the Central Bank of Iraq, the current communications appear consistent and transparent. It is widely accepted that high-ranking U.S. officials do not commit to in-depth negotiations regarding a new bilateral partnership if the antiquated, restricted financial framework is still the dominant system. Conversely, such missions usually take place only when the system has successfully matured and is prepared for a higher tier of cooperation. This is why the scheduling of the officials' tour in relation to the potential shift to Forex is viewed as a critical fragment of proof. It symbolizes what many refer to as the final handshake, or the diplomatic seal of approval on a procedure that has been years in development. The migration to international status acts as the essential bridge to a new exchange rate and a stronger financial destiny. The wider geopolitical terrain is also a significant element in this evolution. As Iraq attempts to separate itself from the instability and economic struggles of its history, the objective is to rise as a major regional economic force, and the fulfillment of the reforms in the White Paper is the primary step in organizing the nation's financial house. By updating its infrastructure, Iraq has transformed itself into a far more appealing target for foreign direct investment. However, global investors are typically reluctant to engage with a currency that is not easily exchangeable or is pinned to a fixed low value by a central agency. These investors demand a dinar that is liquid and available on the international forex market, which is why the recent news regarding the completion of internal preparations is deemed so powerful for the nation's prospects. Why now? The timeline explained the recent confirmations verify that the internal preparatory work has been concluded and the government has indicated to the international community that Iraq is prepared for its premiere on the world stage. The next phase is not simply about diplomatic gatherings, it is fundamentally about the economic bottom line for a country aspiring to prosperity. Iraq is striving to claim its seat at the table of thriving and stable nations, a status that can only be fully achieved with a currency that possesses real-world purchasing power and global utility. Some observers have questioned why this procedure has consumed such a vast amount of time, considering the white paper was authored years ago. The explanation offered by analysts such as M&T Goat is that the momentum only truly began to accumulate following the leadership transition and the renewed drive that commenced in 2023. It requires a massive amount of time to completely overhaul a central banking apparatus and synchronize it with the government's wider fiscal strategies, particularly in a complicated environment like Iraq. We are now witnessing the fruits of several years of intense labor and negotiation. The assertive application of the phrase next phase since mid-November implies a degree of immediacy that was absent in prior years. It seems as though the authorities are literally counting down the days until the final handover takes place. The closeness of these developments to the holiday season and the conclusion of the fiscal year is also highly meaningful, as the turning of the calendar is traditionally a moment for major financial adjustments and the rollout of new economic doctrines globally. Everything appears to be aligning toward a historic alteration in how the dinar is viewed worldwide. The opening ceremony for a new era examining the history of other countries that have navigated similar economic metamorphoses. The transition to an international trading platform is customarily the final stride before a currency's value is recalibrated to mirror a new economic truth. Iraq is traversing a parallel route where the reforms acted as the bedrock and the white paper supplied the necessary schematics. With the assembly of this new financial architecture now reported as finished, the subsequent logical move is to unlock the gates to the global market. This is precisely what the migration to the Forex represents. The pending visit from the US official is perceived as a central component of this opening ceremony. When news outlets report that the official is arriving to discuss the nature of the relationship, it is highly probable that the conversation centers on how the new international dinar will lubricate trade. The dialogue in Baghdad will likely focus on how a stabilized and internationalized Iraqi currency will add to regional security in the Middle East and beyond. The confidence among those who monitor these trends is hitting a peak because the proof is now located in formal government verbiage rather than merely in informal speculation. By conceding that they are entering the next phase, the Iraqi government is acknowledging that the prior era of sluggish growth and limitations is finished. They have shifted from a period of slow incubation to a phase of active forward momentum. For observers, this necessitates maintaining a high degree of alertness and staying briefed on every release issued by Baghdad over the ensuing weeks. As the timeline appears to be compressing drastically, The phrase close proximity is becoming a vital concept to retain as we observe the chain of events transpire. The final countdown. We are no longer debating a timeline that stretches out over years. Instead, we are observing a sequence of incidents that are unfolding in the present moment. The road to the forex market has been paved by these finalized reforms, and the finish line is the international marketplace itself. It is also crucial to factor in the domestic strain within Iraq, where the citizenry is calling for economic adjustments that will enhance their purchasing power and supply them with a currency they can utilize with trust. The Al-Sudani government recognizes that its political success is tethered to providing this stability, and by completing the white paper initiatives, they have honored a major obligation to their population. The ultimate migration to the forex market is viewed as the recompense for the patience and resilience of the Iraqi people and their administration. This shift permits the national currency to discover its authentic value based on market dynamics, which many specialists argue would be dramatically different from its present programmed valuation. This deduction is founded on the logical sequence of every economic step Iraq has taken over the past 24 months. The stage has been constructed, the essential actors are in position, and the final arrangements are being primed for a new economic epoch. The strategic silence concerning the specific dates of high-level diplomatic tours is a standard convention in the realm of international finance to preclude any outside interference or market rigging during a delicate changeover. Although the precise arrival time of the U.S. delegation remains confidential, the reality that it is projected for after Christmas offers a very distinct window for monitoring. This timing coordinates with the inception of the new year, which is frequently a season when governments unveil new financial structures and exchange rate protocols. If the predicted changes manifest in close proximity to this visit, the start of 2026 could prove to be a highly transformative period for the Iraqi economy. Conclusion: a historic junction. The phrase next phase will likely become a defining headline, marking the exact moment where the dinar graduates from being a currency under restriction to one that is a competitor on the global stage. This is a milestone that has been decades in the making for the nation and its regional allies. As we advance into this potential endgame, it is vital for everyone to remain educated while retaining a balanced outlook on the breaking news. The intelligence is being disseminated at an accelerating pace, and the recent confirmations regarding the completion of reforms act as a testament to the progress that has been secured. The reforms are no longer a work in process, they are being categorized as a finished project. Likewise, the transition to the international forex market is no longer a remote ambition but is being handled as an immediate target by the authorities. The high-level diplomatic visit is the catalyst that many suspect will activate the final sequence of declarations regarding the currency's new standing and its function in international commerce. This current scenario is where the technical statistics regarding Iraq's economy finally intersect with the physical reality of international trade. Iraq has finished the arduous chore of restructuring its financial institutions and is now poised to showcase the results to the globe. The next phase is officially here, and it possesses the potential to alter the financial terrain for the country and for those who have tracked its development. Final thoughts and future outlook. In closing, the synchronization of several pivotal elements are the finalization of the white paper reforms, the utilization of specific vocabulary by the government, and the impending visit from Washington are all gesture toward a singular historic occurrence. The dinar is being groomed for its international premiere, and all signals imply this will transpire in tandem with the upcoming diplomatic sessions. This evolution signifies a major triumph for the Al-Sudani administration and transmits a potent message to global markets that Iraq is open for business with a modernized financial infrastructure. We will continue to track every headline and official bulletin from the Central Bank of Iraq to guarantee that the most precise and current data is available as this narrative unfolds. The timing of these incidents is paramount, and the weight of the official language cannot be exaggerated. When the transition is fully actualized, the world will witness a different Iraq, one that has advanced beyond the economic constraints of the past. We are situated at a major turning point that has been years in cultivation, and the conclusion of these reforms is the final signal as the U.S. delegation readies for its trip to Baghdad. Observers across the globe are waiting to witness how the new partnership between these two nations will materialize. This manifestation is predicted to be the formal re-entry of the Iraqi dinar to the international stage as a fully tradable currency. It is a highly active period for those engaged in tracking these shifts, and the close proximity of these events indicates that the interval of waiting for major updates is likely ending. The move to the forex market and the fulfillment of the white paper reforms are the concluding steps in a long process of economic recovery and sovereignty for Iraq, which will have an enduring influence on its future. The next phase is officially in motion, and the spotlight remains on how the Iraqi government will steer the final steps of this transformation. By concentrating on digitalization, anti-smuggling protocols, and non-oil revenues, Iraq has constructed a more robust economy that is better adapted for the modern world. These technical adjustments were mandatory before any international shift could be entertained, and their completion is a monumental milestone. The crossover from a restricted environment to a global one is the bridge that Iraq has been engineering for years, and now it appears they are prepared to traverse it. The forthcoming discussions in Baghdad will likely be the final fragment of the puzzle that brings this entire operation to its finale. Thank you for joining us here on Iraqi Dinar Hub for this comprehensive review of the latest economic reports and official declarations regarding the Iraqi dinar. We remain dedicated to supplying you with a neutral and factual summary of the news as it happens, focusing on the real-world events that are sculpting the future of Iraq's financial system. As the scenario in Baghdad continues to develop, we will be here to offer you the intelligence you require to comprehend the technical and diplomatic shifts taking place on the world stage. Stay tuned for further updates as we track the progress of the next phase and its effect on the international marketplace and the future of the Iraqi economy.